here's Brody Brazil.
Within the next 24 hours or so, we should have some additional clarity, maybe even some finality, on the future of the Tampa Bay Rays in St. Petersburg as it relates to that new stadium project that they unveiled more than a year ago. We've been talking about it at length in detail here on the channel, but it now kind of all comes down to this. The city of St. Petersburg, they've already voted yes, with some caveats. We don't know how the Rays stand on their half, their share of the financing of this stadium, but it all comes down to a vote by Pinellas County and how they feel about this situation. We'll get into their mindset, what they're saying in just a second, but first, I've chosen to reference the fans here at the very beginning of this presentation because I know we're about to talk politics, we're about to talk about the team, we're about to talk money. But in the end, this is the fan base that's either going to get to keep something or hang on to something or have the team move to Tampa. Maybe that's better for some Rays fans, I'm not sure. Or the worst case scenario, they lose this baseball team entirely to a different market. And I've been saying this all along, it takes three to tango, so let me just clarify where exactly we stand on this. As referenced, the city of St. Petersburg, their council, they've already voted yes on about $500 million, $400 and something million, $287.5 going towards the stadium, and another $142 million for the roads and sewers surrounding this brand new stadium, again, right next to Tropicana Field. The city and county have already approved the project, so to speak, but now they're voting on the money, the bonds that will actually get the wheels in motion. So the city of St. Pete, by a 4-3 vote, is in, but are they? More on that also in just a second. So now it comes down to Pinellas County. $312 million towards the stadium. Again, their next discussion is tomorrow as I'm recording this, and we don't really know where they stand. More details on them in a second, and a big reason we don't know where they stand is because they don't know where the Rays stand. After several delays on a Pinellas County vote, it's happened twice now, the Rays said, well, we're now on a 2029 timeline for this ballpark, and because of that one season delay, we can't fund or finance this all on our own. Pinellas County came back and said, wait, you can't do this? Are you in or are you out? And the Rays responded in a written letter saying, well, in effect, the deal for us is still intact. That's not a firm yes. I don't think it's an absolute no. There's a lot of gray area here. So let's go back to the St. Pete yes vote because there is some details that need to be discussed about that. It was scheduled and voted on within less than a 24-hour time span, and I'm not suggesting anything sinister here or suspect. That happens time to time in politics, but they came up with the vote quickly, they took the vote quickly, and they passed it 4-3 in a yes decision. But at least two of those yes votes of the four were explained to only be voted yes to keep leverage on the Rays so that they would have to hold up to their end of the bargain. Something that they agreed on, whether they say they can't do it now, they've already agreed to this. It was almost more like a no vote, but a 4-3 yes vote. I mean, you could say it was a 2-5 no vote or 5-2 no vote instead of a 4-3 yes vote because two of those votes, yes, were actually only saying yes just to see what happens, to put the ball back in the Rays court and say, all right, now you're up to the task. We want to keep leverage on you in this situation. The city, as opposed to the county who's about to have this next vote, the city has obviously more of a direct impact of wanting to keep the Rays. And I'm not saying that the county doesn't want to, but it matters more to the city of St. Petersburg to keep the Rays than it does to Pinellas County. Now, they've already put off their respective vote twice. The first one was because of Hurricane Milton. It just didn't seem right to approve all that money right after so many people lost homes and businesses and situations were a lot different. But then they passed on a second vote, or they didn't take the vote the second time around because they said representatives of the Rays were not present at that meeting in November. So the biggest questions here right now that Pinellas County has, and again, if they're not in, it doesn't matter what the city of St. Petersburg approved. It doesn't matter what the Rays are in or out for. Pinellas County can essentially shut this down with a no vote tomorrow. And they've got two main questions. They've been talking about this, and who knows what's been said behind the scenes during this time, but their number one question is, can the Rays afford this? And their second question is, are we the only place, are we the only option that they're talking to and about right now? And I'll make a separate video on the potential for somewhere like Omaha, Nebraska. I'm not even kidding. to land the Rays? How about Orlando? People have talked about Nashville, even though their mayor says that Nashville's kind of out on anything public funding for the future of sports facilities. But obviously, Pinellas County wants to know, are we the ones you're working with, or are you working with somebody else? But going back to, can the Rays afford this? It's interesting because now in Pinellas County, they're comparing their situation with the Rays to what Las Vegas is doing with the A's. Watch this local coverage here.
Is there any evidence whatsoever that they have spent $50 million?
Not that we've seen.
In their quest for more information, they're pointing to a stadium deal in Clark County, Nevada.
So we have a congruent comparable right now happening in Nevada, in Las Vegas.
A $1.75 billion stadium proposal for the Athletics just took a major step forward, as A's owner John Fisher provided several documents, including a financial review, a loan commitment from banks, and a financial pledge to personally cover $1.1 billion of the total cost.
So why can't we get that same treatment from our owner? And so I don't think it's asking a lot for the Rays to be able to show, hey, we have the money to do this if they're serious about staying here.
Well, 4 of the 7 commissioners still hold reservations. Those in support of getting it done say there's no financial consequence for them if the Rays end up not wanting the deal.
The Rays fail to meet their obligations by March 31st. It's on them. We got nothing to lose here.
It's a similar sentiment to the city of St. Petersburg, right? Vote yes, make them follow through with what they promised. By the way, I should also backtrack there. In Las Vegas, right, with the stadium authority, they've gone over the A's financials to say that, yeah, the Fisher family could afford this, but there's no escrow account. There's no proof that it's actually going to take place. But I see what Pinellas County is saying here. We're not even sure that you're good for this, that nobody's done a review of your financials. And the promise of your half of this, you're covering the overages of this. It's a similar situation down there. So that is one main question right now for Pinellas County. Are the Rays even able to fund their share of this and cover the overages that are very likely to come along in this process? But how about the other half of this equation and maybe what Pinellas County is thinking about and wondering about? We don't know if the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County have also been in the mix. We don't know what's been working privately behind the scenes with the team and the other part of the Tampa Bay area, city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. Now, the Rays have all along only said that their only commitment was to stay in the Tampa Bay area. They didn't make a claim or a pledge to stay in St. Petersburg or at the gas plant district site or right next to Tropicana Field. If you really go back, and there was a great piece in the Tampa Bay Times suggesting that there was never a commitment specifically to stay in St. Petersburg. But the Times also says that the Rays were actually in discussions for the Eber Harbor site, which is in Tampa. It's waterfront, quite honestly. It seems and feels like the real estate you want if you're going to do this development. A dome stadium on about, I don't want to say like 13 or 14 acres, plus all the surrounding acreage of it. But the Rays were in discussions with Tampa for that Eber Harbor site all the way until July of 2023, right before they came out with the renderings for the new stadium in St. Petersburg, right next to Tropicana Field. Did something fall apart here? Did they go with the easier route? Have they been working on this all along behind the scenes? How exactly do we know? What we do know is that recently some Hillsborough County officials, elected officials, and politicians, they've said that they would be open to this process. Let's see how it plays out, they said, with St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. We'll be ready, was the exact quote for when Hillsborough County could get involved with this situation. So, look, it all comes down to this, a county vote, $312+ million, and we'll see. I mean, we don't yet know if this means anything. This could go forward and then the Rays would back out of the situation. Now, the Rays don't want to back out of this situation because if they do, they lose control. They lose ownership, essentially, of the 60+ acres where Tropicana Field sits right now. They've got a lot to lose if they back out of this. That's why they don't want to back out of this. But will the county hold the Rays to their part of this bargain and say, you're still in with us? Or will the county be the one to say, you know what, we're here to shut this deal down? And you know what, if they shut the deal down, it means that all of this back and forth, all of the renderings you've seen, all the videos I've made, all the talk, it basically goes straight in the garbage can. And these fans have to start their process of wondering, worrying, asking questions all over again. And that's no fun. And those are the fans, those are the people I feel for most in this entire process. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow with this Pinellas County vote. That's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. Really appreciate that. It'll greatly help me, this video, and this channel. Also, while you're down there, real quick, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribing to the channel already. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.